Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, I've got the tie on, we've got the To Apollo music going on in the background, and you know that means it is more time for some Pokemon Sleep news. Now, this news is a little bit different than usual because it doesn't come in the form of just a news announcement from the Pokemon Works themselves. It comes in the form of Datamines. Now, I usually don't discuss Datamines because the Pokemon Works, they do an alright job at their goal of hiding a lot of the data behind their updates and stuff so that we don't get access to too much of it prior to an event. They want to save things for when it releases, which means, typically speaking, there's only like one or two numbers that we know, and it's not enough to really make content on, but there's enough stuff to discuss here with how many Pokemon there are and how many theories and also the Dream Gifts. There's a lot of stuff to discuss, and I just wanted to actually talk about all of it because there's just enough stuff here that I think it's worth a video for. But first thing, we can rejoice! I was so worried about Plusle and Minun being 16-pip Pokemon, and I was honestly a bit ashamed of the dev team for doing this during this event, but now they're actually somewhat exciting to me because they're not 16-pip Pokemon. They are unique. They are the only 10-pip Pokemon we have in the game. Now this, I think, is pretty nice because of two reasons, or well, one reason primarily. It's actually reasonable to catch for free-to-play. If they show up hungry, you can toss them your daily biscuit. That gets them to 9, and then an additional biscuit on top of that gets them full, or you catch them. You can actually catch them guaranteed if they show up hungry. This is actually, I think this is going to be a reasonable hunt. Now, are they going to be good? Probably not, and I can dive right into that. So, Plus gets you 18 ingredients at max level, compared to Ingredient Magnet, which gets you 24. That's a pretty significant drop-off in the number of ingredients you're getting, with the only boost being that if you meet the certain conditions, you get additional ingredients, which, if you have a minus Pokemon, then maybe it's worth it. We won't know until we know, like, what that number is later on, but we don't see that in the base skill effect right now. And then for minus, 24 pot expansion compared to 31. Now, pot expansion is a bit weird in that realistically, if this was like a little bit lower, but it still allowed you to cook the highest meals, and the only thing that it was really doing was giving you extra filler, that really wouldn't increase the value of the main skill that much, since the cooking power-up S relies upon the idea that it's making you a stronger meal because you're allowing yourself to make the higher tier meals. So what can that really do with it? Well, as of right now, the highest pot size you can get in the game is 69. Now, this is going to vary for everybody else if you have lower than 69 pot space. But as of right now, the Cooking Power-Up S can get you 31 extra. That gets you up to 100 ingredients. That unlocks for you the ability to cook Defiant Coffee Dress Salad, Zingzap Spice Cola, Flower Gift Macarons, Hidden Power Perk Up Stew, and Inferno Corn Keema Curry are like the 5 that you are able to make with Cooking Power Up that you couldn't make without Cooking Power Up's presence or a good camp ticket. Now, what can you do with minus? Minus gives you 24 additional, which, quick math, 24 plus 69 is... Oh man, I should have done this beforehand. I just want to make sure I'm right. 93. So, 93 ingredients. That's kind of a weird number because we don't have any 93 ingredient meals, but it still gets us the ability to cook Hidden Power Perk Up Stew, Inferno Corn Keema Curry, Zingzap Spice Cola, and Flower Gift Macarons. So, the only one that you're able to cook with Cooking Power Up that you aren't able to cook with minus is the Defiant Coffee Dress Salad. If you have a maxed out pot size. If you have a lower pot size, then it might matter more that it's a little bit less. But overall, unless you're specifically targeting Defiant Coffee Dress Salad, I'd say minus is right there on target. And even though it looks significantly worse, with the current setup of the game, I think that they're going to be about equals in overall strength and contribution to the team. But minus has that extra weird little bonus energy to one Pokemon on the team. So, Plus feels like it got the short end of the stick here. But either way, Plusle and Minun may actually be worth it, depending upon what their skill rates and frequency are. Only time will tell. Maybe we will have the dream the dream cooking team of Plusle, Minun, Dedena, and then theoretically that's synergized with Raikou and Pawmot. Although that's a weird team because it's all skill specialists, with skill specialists can't really take advantage of Raikou's main skill as well as other specialties. So that's a weird pair-up, but it's something interesting to think about and kind of funny that they have that weird, really interesting synergy. But 10 pips is a relief off my shoulders. I was, like I said, ashamed of the devs that they were putting a pair of 16-pip Pokemon. You can just see the disheartening when I saw that Plusle and Minun was announced, if you go back to that video, and this relieves a lot of that. Additionally, for whales, just 2 Ultra Biscuits, if you have them, that also catches them. So it gives whales another reason to use their Ultra Biscuits, which I know has been a discussion amongst whale players, that Ultra Biscuits are kind of awkward to use. So this is another potential. But I do want to discuss Rarity, because there's another thing that goes into, it's not just the 16-pip cost, it is also the Rarity is part of the 16-pip problem as well. And we don't really have a perfect gauge for Rarity, as it's constantly in flux as more Pokemon are added to the game, because there's more spawns that can water it down. There's no perfect metric for Rarity, because there's a lot of factors that play into it. But one of those factors is Drowsy Power requirement, and I think, honestly, it is the best, at least approximation that we can use for Rarity when showing things numerically. And when we look at Drowsy Power requirement based off their 1-star styles, Plusle and Minun are the new rarest non-legendary Pokemon in the game. Which is a bit rough for people who want to hunt Plusle and Minun. But that's, the story changes if we look at just their 2-star style, because we can data mine some of their DPR or Drowsy Power requirements. If we look at 2-star styles, it's not as rare as Farfetch'd or Mawile. And if we look at the 3-star style, it's even less rare than Mimikyu, and coming in like between Cramorant and Mimikyu. So that's decently rare. Actually, quite rare. But it's weird that they made its Drowsy Power requirement, it kind of curved off weirdly. So you'll see more 2- and 3-star than you would of regular 16-pip Pokemon. And see less 1-star, because for some reason their 1-star sleep style is almost double the Drowsy Power requirement of a Delibird or a Mimikyu. Now, that doesn't mean that it's twice as rare as a 1-star Delibird or Mimikyu. Like I said, Rarity is a really weird thing to discuss in this game, but this is like the best metric that we have for it, aside from just straight up doing simulations, which we can't do in Datamines. So, but that's pretty much where the Plusle and Minun discussion ends. They're shockingly more huntable than I was hoping for, or planning for, and that gives me hope. So, now we've gotten through all that. The Hoenn Starters. Now, there isn't too much to discuss here, really. Everything is as we would expect. We don't really have a gauge for what specialty they are yet, but the few things that are data mineable are their friendship level, their inventory, and their locations and Drowsy Power requirements. Now, once again, if we look at Rarity based off the 1-star styles, wait, this is wrong screen, sorry. Okay, if we look at their Rarity based off the 1-star styles, it's about the same as the Plusle Starters, just a touch rarer. So I'd say expect them to be about the same as the Plusle Starters, how much you see them right now. Well, not right now, because right now we're in an event where the Plusles are boosted. But aside from that, what do they offer? Well, we don't know what they offer yet, but we can kind of make some predictions based off of their inventory. Now, inventory, this is not a perfect comparison, but typically speaking, if we look at Pokemon like Typhlosion, Meganium, and Feraligatr, they have a bit higher inventories, ranging in the 20s about, because they are berry specialists. Now, naturally, the devs give more inventory to berry specialists. This was kind of how we predicted Musharna to be a berry specialist a while back, because berry specialists, on average, have bigger helps. Just finding 2 berries instead of 1 means their inventory is naturally going to fill quicker. Because of that, the devs have naturally given most berry specialists a higher inventory than other specialties, because it takes longer to counteract for that average help size being larger. So we see some of the highest inventories in the game being on berry specialists, and for a 3-stage Pokemon, the Johto starters have some of the highest inventories being 19, 20, and 23. Now, for Swampert, we see 20, for Blaziken, we see 22, and Sceptile, we see 17. Now, Swampert and Blaziken definitely fall right in that range, so I think that there's a very strong case that this almost confirms that they're probably going to be, like, I'm pretty certain they're going to be berry specialists after seeing this inventory stat, because there are very few examples of ingredient and skill specialists that go beyond 20 for base inventory that have 3 stages of evolution. I think really the only real examples of that would be like the pseudo-legendaries. I'm pretty sure Dragonite has a really large inventory, but they're pseudos, so we don't really think about them much. But Sceptile has 17, which is more in line with some ingredient and skill specialists, which has caused some to theorize that maybe they could be different specialties across all 3. But I don't think that's necessarily the case because these both have like more berry specialist levels of inventory. While Sceptile 17 still can fall in the realm of what a berry specialist can have. None of this is perfect. It's all speculation as well. I do have to say that. But Walrein has 18, also a 3-stage Pokemon. And we look at like Houndoom, it has 16, which is less than 17. And it has 1 less stage of evolution, so it naturally gets 5 less. And Altaria has 14, which plus the 5 from only 1 stage of evolution is horrendous compared to those other Pokemon. Now, one thing that these guys have all in common is lower frequencies. 55 minutes, 58 minutes, and 20 seconds, 50 minutes. So that would kind of imply that if Sceptile is a berry specialist, it's probably going to be on the slower end of things, which doesn't really make much sense, given that it is known for its speed in the base games. So if they were to do that, that'd be a little bit weird. Also, ignore the tails. That's filler. But that's like the only real reasonable speculation we can come out from this is that it either has a different specialty or they're likely going to make it slow, or it's just going to be balanced really weirdly and it's going to sneaky snack really quickly. Additionally, Feraligatr is a little bit... It's got a lower inventory being 19 compared to other berry specialists. But it makes up for that by having a stronger skill and a higher skill trigger rate. Or, not stronger skill. Higher skill trigger rate than its compatriots. So, like, Meganium has the same exact frequency as Feraligatr, but Feraligatr's got a decently higher skill trigger rate. So maybe Sceptile is going to be balanced around being a slower berry specialist that has a much higher skill trigger rate. To make it interesting and identify it, make it more unique compared to Meganium in that regard. By trying to take advantage of its main skill. Similarly to how Houndoom makes itself somewhat unique as the only Charge Strength M berry specialist, with actually a shockingly decent skill trigger rate as well. So, all that speculation, though, based off their inventory. There really isn't anything we can say for sure what the new starter trio is going to be, but my money is on a berry specialist trio, which is... I kind of wanted it to be skill specialist. I discussed that in a previous video, so I'm not going to go into that again. But berry specialists are cool as well. So, and we do need something better for ground and fighting. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Sceptile. So, I'm happy to see this. Fun hunts, I'd say. Now, the last thing is Dream Gifts. Now, this is from Cerebi, and this is from Rain on X. This is what last year's Dream Gifts were. This is what they had for the holiday event, so we can kind of ignore this. But if we want to make the comparison of last year's to this year, this is what we're looking at. What's interesting is there's actually some slightly conflicting data between Cerebi and Rain on X. Cerebi says we're only getting 10,000 Dream Shards. Rain on X says 30,000. Cerebi says we're getting 2 ingredient ticket M's, whereas Rain on X is saying we're getting 3. So there's some mildly conflicting data between Cerebi and Rain on X, but they seem to agree that at least we're getting Diamonds, Dream Shards, Handy Candy, Slate Points, Main Skill Seed, Ingredient Ticket M, and Dream Cluster M. Now, it looks like a lot more last year because they did it across 2 weeks instead of the first week. But really, all they dropped was Fire, Water, Grass type candy, so a little bit less candy. But they gave us less Handy Candy in the moment, so we're getting now 10 Handy Candy instead of 5. I think that this is overall a downgrade to candies compared to last year. But one big thing. Last year there was no main skill seed. This year there is a main skill seed, which is a huge boon. Additionally, there's less ingredient tickets overall. The Dream Shards either dropped or increased depending upon which data you go off of. But diamonds dropped, according to both of them, by 100 each. But we got 100 more sleep points. Overall, I think this is generally an upgrade. We're also getting 2 Dream Cluster M that we didn't get last year, which makes our overall Dream Shards for most people probably more than what it would have been otherwise. But we're losing some incenses, but we're getting them through some of the missions. But I believe there were missions last year as well, so probably less incenses in general. But this is what the missions look like. Mission rewards, according to Cerebi. I think that this year's Dream Gifts definitely make up for what the losses are in what they're making less. Now, we also do have that second week of boosts. We don't know exactly how that happy seed, as the data miners found, is going to look, what it's going to do. The event HF, we have no clue really what that's going to look like. But that's an additional boost that's happening the second week. That overall, I think they're trying to improve upon the anniversary event and make it better for us as players. And I am very happy to see a main skill seed put here that's going to everybody. That is very free-to-play friendly and makes Plusle and Minun even less of an expense than what they would otherwise be. But anyway, that's about it for the data mines. Lots of discussion there and a lot of speculation, but there's some interesting data that I just wanted to discuss. If you have enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I don't think really anyone else on YouTube is making content going this deep into data mines, so if you want stuff like this, be sure to subscribe. Down in the description, we'll have a link to join the Discord. You can come join us, hang out, talk about all things Pokemon, sleep, and the like. Things like this. We had a long discussion last night about all this stuff. Also, huge thank you to all my channel members. It really means a lot to me that you guys want to show your support in that way. If you too want to show your support financially and are financially capable of doing so, do note I have no paid rewards for members, but the option is down below with the join button. And as always, I thank you all for watching and hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.